Tonight, beneath the sputtering glow of faltering lights, love slips blindly into the chasms of madness. The late autumn chill crept relentlessly, a ghostly breath threading through the fractured seals of my cramped city apartment's cracked window panes. Each cold draught whispered a litany of unease, a susurrus of forgotten fears mingling with the damp heaviness that clung to the stale air like a shroud stitched from shadows and silence. Outside, the coming storm threatened not rain but a suffocating presence, pressing inward, bone against brittle bone and mind against the fragile cage of reason. I perched on the coarse fabric of a threadbare armchair, a throne amid chaos. Wilting, withered plants sprawled like mourners at a funeral, leaves twisted and browned as if remembering their own deaths. Piles of dog-eared medical journals, their brittle pages exhaling the sharp scent of musty paper sharpened by faint antiseptic. A sterile bouquet betraying the rot of neglect, and scattered across the cluttered table, archaic medical tools, relics imbued with whispered purpose. Glass vials cold and slick beneath my fingertips, clouded by residue like frozen ghosts. A rusted stethoscope, its tubing a serpent frozen in time, and strange, delicate instruments curved with eerie intent, their functions fading phantoms in the maze of my memory. Berenice, my sister, had slipped slowly from health's fragile altar, but tonight the decay spoke a language older than illness. Her once luminous spirit lay masked beneath a death-like pallor, those hollow eyes unsettlingly bright, shards of fractured ice reflecting an abyss too cruel, too deep to plumb. I reached out, voice fragile and breaking, snapping like brittle twigs. "Berenice, are you feeling any better?" She murmured, breath thin as spider silk. "It feels like my skin isn't mine anymore." The words carved a tremor deep and primal, not the sharp bite of the autumn chill, but a creeping malaise curling in my gut. Logic faltered. My mind grasped desperately for explanations, hallucinations, fever dreams, neurological delusions. But as the wind rose, rattling the window frames in a frantic protest, a darker doubt rooted itself. Could this be something else? Something unnameable, a shadow lurking beneath the edge of science's flickering light. Around her the plants leaned unnaturally as if drawn by her fading essence, their twisted leaves grotesque appendages siphoning at the very marrow of the room. My eyes strained against the gathering gloom and saw it, a faint, almost imperceptible flutter beneath her skin, like a trapped moth beating behind translucent curtains, madness trapped in fragile flesh. I rubbed my aching eyes and whispered a desperate litany. This isn't real, it's just the medicine, just the night. But reason floundered, the sensation gnawed, shifted, madness or truth. The question pulsed, a grim heartbeat in the suffocating shadows. Hours blurred, measured only by the storm's relentless assault, a furious rhythm of staccato raindrops hammering the paned windows. Drawn like a moth to the flickering flame of the peculiar apparatus, I sought refuge in the cold familiarity of my past. Once, I was a medical technician, dissecting health with precision and detachment. But now, the array of grotesque instruments strewn about defied explanation, relics of a morbid fantasy rather than science. A magnifying glass revealed their true horror. Twisted implements, tiny and grotesquely shaped, unfit for any rational practice, yet glowing faintly under the jaundiced light. A spectral pulse throbbing in the gathering gloom, the heartbeat of a dying sanity. Berenice's breaths had become brittle shards, fracturing the silence with gasps like broken glass. Her eyes flickered with a terror imprisoned deeper than fever or pain. "You're watching me," she accused, voice thin, weighted in the heavy air. "Watching what's dying beneath my skin." My throat tightened, words faltered into a stammer. "I'm trying to help." My hands betrayed me, trembling violently, betraying the fragile mask I wore. "I promise I'm not giving in, not to those thoughts." Slowly, her head shook, deliberate, haunted, each movement a solemn toll. "It's not thoughts," she breathed. "It's the truth beneath, the rot inside me, and you see it, don't you?" Her confession shattered the thick silence, dragging me into a mire of unbearable self-awareness and dread. Was I a voyeur, a chronicler of her decay, or was I unraveling alongside her, our minds entwined in a tightening noose of shared madness, a dance of madness and love twisted together like barbed vines? At midnight, a vicious gust extinguished the flickering lamp, plunging the apartment into oppressive darkness, save for the ghostly phosphorescence of Berenice's skin, undulating softly beneath the storm's torn light. My fingers groped blindly, brushing, a sudden shock like cold, clammy fingers slipping down my spine, flesh crawling as if ice-born dread had crept beneath my skin. A match flared, trembling into life. Her hand lay crumpled on the floor, pallid and quivering, veins swollen and grotesquely dark beneath translucent flesh, like twisted roots strangling a dying tree. A ragged gasp tore from me. My heart pounded a desperate staccato, echoing the storm's furious roar. The ominous instruments vibrated quietly, mechanical metronomes marking the fading cadence of her life. Was I a scientist confessing to a fatal fever? Or a madman enslaved by a supernatural torment? My mind folded inward, drowning in a sea of confusion and despair. I need to know, I whispered into the storm's howl, voice brittle. What's inside you, Berenice? Obsession clawed mercilessly, demanding answers I feared to face. Gripping the grotesque blades, their edges cold and sharp, flickered by the trembling matchlight, time shattered into jagged fragments. Thunder crashed like a furious god's lament beyond these walls, shaking the very bones of the night. My sanity fractured in tandem with the storm, consumed by a voracious urge to peel back the fragile veil of her skin, to expose the hidden horror festering beneath. The room pulsed with malevolence, alive and watching, sensing the terrible intent stirring in my hands. Yet, as my trembling fingers hovered over the instruments, a haunting vision seized me, Berenice, not a passive victim in slow decay, but a ghostly prisoner locked within her own flesh, her silent scream echoing in the hollow chambers of my soul. And I, the tormentor, ensnared in a morbid obsession that clawed away at the very fabric of my being. Perhaps the true unnatural force was not her affliction, but the sickness blooming inside me, the monstrous spiral of a fractured mind sinking deeper into blackness. A deafening thunderclap shattered the night's fragile veneer. In that breathless moment, the terrible truth revealed itself. No salvation awaited us here, only a boundless abyss lurking beneath every certainty I once held sacred. And in her fading eyes, I saw my own reflection, a mirror cracked and bleeding, spiraling forever beyond return. The storm raged unrelenting as shadows closed and thickened, and beneath the surface of everything, madness whispered my name like a lover's curse. If this story unsettled you, subscribe and share your thoughts. Have you ever felt the fragile boundary between care and obsession dissolve into madness?